So what we're trying to create is a crash course for artists in digital literacy.
We need that so much.
We need that. We need that.
Yes.
We have different periods, different generations of the internet. We have different power structures. And I think it's going to be extremely difficult to express yourself online if you're not aware of the system. So when we sort of try to look back at the history of the internet, we divide it into 3 different generations.
Yeah.
We have Web 1, which was where we grew up.
Yeah, that was so cute.
It was very cute,
yeah.
Because we all believed in information wants to be free.
There was a mystery and a magic to it that we somehow miss
lost.
Today.
Yeah. So the Web 1 was in the 90s.
Yeah.
And in '89, World Wide Web was invented by Tim Berners-Lee. It became publicly available in '91. And things kind of exploded from there. So another thing that changed in the 90s with Web 1 was that in the creative sector, the power structures changed. Before we had like publishers and the music industry, like record companies, etc. So many gatekeepers.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, we could sort of self-publish. We could get in touch with a larger audience online.
Yeah. And then came Web 2. We got help for all the technical part. We got the services where you could publish yourself on Blogspot, and we got YouTube where you could share your videos. You could suddenly be your own TV host.
Yeah.
All these different services and all these centralized platforms.
And I guess they also defined it as like it was all of a sudden the internet became participatory, and all the content was user generated.
Yeah.
So it also
beautiful.
It is beautiful in some ways, but we also learned later on that we paid a high price.
Yeah, when we realized that all the photos that we upload are actually not owned by us anymore.
And Web 3 is a way to restructure the hierarchies of data in the internet. And it really started with cryptocurrency. Everyone who participates in the creation of a set of data has equal share in the data itself in terms of transparency. You know, you like a picture that creates a data set. That data set does not disappear in a server that only Instagram owns, but it's transparently documented in a public database, and anyone, you or the person you created this data with or anyone else can, look at this data, use it, and so forth, so on, which in theory is a really good thing because that leads to transparency, and that also rearranges the hierarchies. If we have more understanding about what our data means, where it is stored, the more agency. Web 3 is a more decentralized, more open internet, and I think it's a very much needed momentum, because if you decentralize power, you really empower the most amount of people possible.
I think many of the artists that we talk to, they suffer somehow from this dialogue with themselves about who am I online? Why do I need to publish? They look at the grid of what everybody else do, and they try to somehow fit in and be the same. And the moment you maybe, if you can come up with some kind of distilled version of the project that you want to do, then it's suddenly more easy to just have a free flow of presence online.
As many people, I do have an online persona, and my artist name is, I've changed it multiple times, but my artist name is Opium Hum. I have a really hard time an online persona being different than what you find in real life. So I do think that there's not that much this difference, but rather it's like a kind of wholesome practice. Social media or the online presence can also be a mask, can be a shield, because a lot of the things that are thrown at you online are hard to deal with. For me, I somehow have, I guess, enough safeguards that I do not need to separate those two.
Both of us work with personas in order to survive on these platforms, because it's a gift that you can publish and you can reach a big audience, and you can easily somehow be in dialogue with people. So I think providing people with digital literacy is important because it also gives you agency. When you understand the systems, when you understand why it is as it is, it provides you with a different outlook on things.
So my advice for young artists or artists in general who want to develop some sort of digital practice, this is less about tools to create, but more tools to stay sane. I do think that the current setup of the technologies that we engage daily with requires a fair amount of critical thinking and understanding to be able to use these platforms without damaging yourself or damaging others. So develop a bit of a political consciousness, you know, and that way it is much better to create things that feel wholesome and that won't, you know, keep you awake at night because you like feel like you participated in something that's abusive. So if like even 10% of your work is an interface to others, that's already, you know, kind of community work, you know, which means that if you create infrastructure, make sure that this infrastructure is accessible to others. Like the algorithm will not be generous to you, you know what I mean? That is like one thing. You'll ultimately, like anything you do online is usually free labor for some billionaire, you know? And kindness, I think, is always the best strategy to deal with people in general.